let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? But the party was nice, the party was pumping. And everybody having a ball. Until the... All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:32. It is a new week. It is June 24th. Hopefully everyone's feeling well. Let's take a look at the disclosure. You guys know the drill, and then let's get to it. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. This is the 6:30 Club, where we try and set up the week a little bit, go over some setups that look juicy, ready for a potential move where we can make cash flow. We also talk about where the narrative is, what's everybody focusing on, what's changing perhaps. We try and look ahead a little bit so we don't get slammed, by some kind of change in the complexion out of nowhere. And we try and have some fun. Cheers to everybody tuning in again. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Let me say good morning to some guys that are tuning in early. We got DS in the house from the transit station. We got Ali. We got Glenn. We got Brian Chen. We got Dob. We got AC2000. Good morning. What up, Blair? Blair's from Texas. We got No Iglesias. Got the Space Specialist. Hi, Red Dog. Happy Monday. What are you saying? Bitcoin really is getting sold off? Well, when you're in no man's land, you don't want to play no man's land. You either had 71 to 72,000, then you had 60 to 61,000, and a whole lot of nothing in the middle. And anyone trying to play a breakout for Bitcoin, it is what it is. I tried it a few times. I lost some money. You either do it that way or you just kind of accumulate it over time. It's up to you. It's up to your time frame. It's all about time frame. What's your time frame? How much time do you allocate to this tape? Anyway, good morning, Raju. Good morning, Jose. Let's get to it. So if you look over here, there is your chart of the S&P cash. S&P cash hit a high of 55.05 last week. And then we did sell down, and we're not even at the 8 day yet. So that's how extended we were. If you remember the last 2 weeks, we were buying into support, and then we made a higher high. And then here is 55.05. To be honest, I would put I'd put a better than average chance that this 55.05 is going to be the high for, a bunch of the weeks to come. Just saying, doesn't have to be. I'm not saying short everything. I'm just saying I feel like that's a little bit of a tactical peak. If you remember last Thursday, I came in with the semis, and I'm like, hey, guys, I think the semis are overheated. I think they're overcrowded. Every single person I know is talking semis. I was in a cab the other day, and the guy was asking me to buy Nvidia. I'm like, all right, that's it. We're hitting a short-term top. So I wrote my note, overheated, overcrowded. I then went into the city. I went with my friend, from Fox Business, Liz Clayman, and P.S. You could have sold the SMHs that day, 279. A lot of people in the Alpha team bought options, made doubles and triples, and then we hit a low of 262.05. I wouldn't be surprised at some point if we do at least test this, if not fill that. If you rode this trend, it got very extended, very overheated. Hopefully you booked some profits on Thursday and maybe even had a cute short. It's up to you how you want to do it. Remember, I went over the SOXS. First time I showed you guys this chart literally in years, because I never really played the triple, ETFs, the bear ones. But a lot of guys did really well buying it. You could have bought it and made 20%, let alone if you would have bought the options, you could have made 200 to 300%. But anyway, that was then, this is now. We'll get to the semis. So what do I kind of think is set up for the week, which we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be a lighter week. The end of the quarter is on Friday. We had a bit of a rebalance last week. I would think, I still love this setup. Amazon right here, you look at it. If you remember on Thursday, it finally woke up. I started buying the shares again at 185. I bought a lot of 192.5 calls for July 5th, which is not this Friday. It's the Friday after. And I'd love to see it take out this 189 area, 190 area, and give us an additional move. This is a focus, and it's been a focus before and hasn't worked. But at this point, you're already up 2 days. It's down a little bit. It'd be great to see if this can go red to green. I might even buy some more options, maybe the 195s, and go one more week further than July 5th, just to make sure I have enough exposure if we do get some kind of really nice breakout here with Amazon. It's been a long time. You take a tiny quick look at the weekly chart, and the weekly chart is just back to the old highs here. So we haven't even taken this out from 2021, 2022. It'd be nice if this could finally go, but we'll see. You just want to control your size. If you get too much, at the wrong time, sometimes it's hard to hold. So, but it deserves to be a focus. That deserves to be a focus. Microsoft's been working well. Nice bull flag. We played this very well. We had a bunch of options in the past few weeks. Last time was a really focus is when it took out 423. And now, if you're still long, you can put 441 as your stop. And if it can get above 451, it can continue. We shall see how this goes. Still looks good. Some of you guys caught Google last week. I did not. Google had another nice breakout. Google had another nice move. I haven't been as focused on Google just because I've been focusing more on Amazon. I've been focusing more on the AI semis. I've been can't focus on everything. Bottom line is, this has been since May 20th. It's now June 24th for a month. It's been hanging in here and kind of woke up a bit on Friday. So that looks good. Okay, what is different is Apple. Apple hit 220. It's been pulling back. I did buy Apple into this pullback, and it'll be interesting to see if we get some kind of bottom type of candle. So far, it hasn't shown us anything yet. You had this 222 top. We made a lot of money when it cleared 199 and 197, went as high as 220. Looked like you were going to have a bull type flag, and then it broke this spot. It broke this 213. Some active long said, hey, I'm getting out of the way. Doesn't look like it's going to make a new move so fast. It doesn't look like a very tight bull flag. It looks like more of a corrective move, and that's kind of what's happening here. So it would be nice if we get some kind of red dog reversal where it trades through 207.11, comes back above, gives us a pivot, which is a spot to trade against this week, and then starts to act better. There's some talk about an EU, EU regulation on their app store. We've been hearing about antitrust and EU, fines on Microsoft, on Apple, on this, on that for decades. And if you don't invest in these things because of those headlines, you have missed out on a lot of money. Anyway, same way you would have missed out on a ton of money if all of a sudden you didn't invest in Nvidia because of the China AI restrictions. So anyway, Nvidia has been the bread and butter of the community. A lot of people made a ton of money, maybe even changed their lives by being long Nvidia for multiple years. We had a lot of nice strategies here on Thursday, Fox Business. Liz was like, you came on in January and at 550 and you said this was going to 1250. Well, if you adjust for the split last Thursday, it was 1400, a little bit above the price target. Anyway, I did say sell a third of your core, even if it's long term, or if you're active, and you've been in it for a swing, get out of some. And if you want to make money short, I know a lot of guys made so much money buying it and into this gap up and even here. And then when it failed to hold 136 and gave you this topping pattern, you could have got short. And then on Friday, you even had a cute trade. I was buying it from 125 down and then gave you a little trade back to the 128, 129s. You have a bit of a doji here. I'm not sure if it's going to take out 124.30 today, but I would think at some point this 118, 119 area, the 21-day gets tested, and that probably would be a spot if you're not in Nvidia to start nibbling for some kind of swingish type trade. But sometimes it goes even lower. But I would say that there's a chance this holds here today. If not, I would definitely be looking to buy some calls a few weeks out and maybe test the stock if it could hold the 21-day. Hasn't seen this in a long time. AVGO also, a lot of people sold into that strength when it failed to hold this 1785. The split, I think, is July 10th. Right now it's going to fill this gap a little bit. I would look to see if there's a buyable spot, maybe today, tomorrow, as it's coming from 1850 down to 16. That's 200 points. Here's your gap. We'll see what the price discovery leads to. I'm probably going to buy some 1850 calls for post split, maybe a week after, just to try and buy a dip and anticipate, but we'll see. For those guys who think that Tesla is looking good, it's looking fine. There's still so many different types of stories out there about it, just about how now over the winter they were talking about how the batteries would freeze. Now they're talking about how in the heat the batteries are also freezing. So I think a lot of people are starting to get a little fed up with the whole EV movement. I have a hybrid Jeep. I love it. I could plug it in overnight, every night if I remember, and I never have to pay for gas. Or if I want to go on a long trip, I could just switch it and I'm paying, gas for my Jeep. But anyway, there's a small setup here. if you were long this stock, I would say you could be long versus 177. If it breaks 177, this setup is gone. If it starts to get above this inside flag, perhaps maybe it gets better. It's very hard to trade. It has not been special. Tesla has not been special, but it's worth a look this week. I bought some 192 calls just in case it wants to ignite. I still have a little bit of a sweet spot or a memory of Tesla because 2-3 years ago it was my bread and butter, and I made so much money long this stock, and I did not get caught in this big pullback. I did not overtrade this whole move that became unspecial in last December. So whenever it gets a little tight, I always have to look at it a little bit because it's frustrating a lot of the longs and the shorts. So for me, maybe I just don't trade it. And if some kind of news comes out on China and their autonomous driving and their this and that, maybe I'll be involved, but I won't overdo it. So we'll see. Thoughts on MU earnings on Wednesday? Well, that's Wednesday, Peter. We'll see where the semis are. If the semis are oversold enough, Micron could be a good catalyst for things to get some kind of bounce. We'll see how that goes. What do I think about T? AT&T, Ma Bell, right? It's got a nice chart. It's already started its move a little bit, kind of continue higher. Yeah, it looks good. It's above the 8-day, above the 21-day. You want to be in AT&T. So, I haven't traded that thing, but it looks like it's something you could have on as a swing. Some guys are asking me, what about Adobe? Adobe looks pretty good. Adobe had a big gap up. This is one of the strategies that I use all the time with, the ebooks, gap up after earnings, how much of that gap holds. If you remember, this was all the way up here, came into the gap. Okay, so you had to look for price discovery, and then it put a low in here at 505 and bounced off that. So if you wanted to be in Adobe and you think that, hey, maybe it's going to act better, well, you now have a better spot. Here's 505, which is the pro earnings gap pivot. And then if it were to get above 535, chances are it can continue. I might look at Adobe here today as well. We shall see. And listen, that's about it, guys. I think you do have a tactical top in the semis from last Thursday, which I already went over, and today's Monday. Hopefully you reduced so you could buy a dip. Maybe you made a lot of money short finally. A lot of guys had their best day Thursday short the semis, and they're already covered, which is great. They can't take your money back, but hopefully the real money was made on the long side over the last year or two. We have a bunch of things this week, nothing blaring. End of the quarter is Friday. The new flows could come out over July 4th week. So I would say just make sure you're not trading no man's land. Make sure you're not over trading. Focus on the setups that you want. A lot of people are upset about Bitcoin. I hear you. I tried Bitcoin a bunch of times and it didn't work. I tried some options that didn't correlate. I tried some Mara that didn't do so well. Bottom line is, it's been in this channel. It's consolidating a massive move that we saw to start the year. Got very overcrowded with the ETF approval and this and that. The first time it failed here. And then you had a nice igniting bar, went back to the top range, and then teased again, and then kind of failed right here. And now here we are heading into this zone. So I guess the question is, will it hold this lower end here? And the next question is, when will it ever take out this 71 to 73 to get to 100,000? We don't know. Just don't let it wear you out. And when it really does do it, make sure you jump on then, because Bitcoin doesn't remember how many times you tried to play a breakout here. And if you do asset allocate, hopefully you've been buying Bitcoin every single month and you don't care, because in the next, who knows how many time, 1, 3, 6 months, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I do think this could be, 100, 200, and just another way to, asset allocate. Same way if you buy physical gold every single month for the past 20 years, you made a lot of money. But if you trade gold, it's a different story. You have to use the rules. Gold right now has been in this range for quite some time. Not a lot of opportunity here. Here is when gold was awesome. Here is when I was on with Liz Klayman also talking about a breakout ready to go in gold and silver. But that was then, okay, and now this is now, and it's really not a focus. I haven't traded gold or silver in a month. And maybe at some point I'll trade it again, but the same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin and crypto, when it's in play and going, you focus on it. When it's not, either you accumulate it long term if that's what you do, or you wait for a true signal, and then you make sure you're there at the time. And that's it. Yeah, Netflix has been trading great. I haven't really been there. The biotechs, someone asked me if I could do the biotechs. That's what I'll leave you with. XBI, it looks decent, I guess you could say. If money wants to rotate there in the third quarter, this is your channel. I haven't really looked at this in a while. That's why I got to kind of change it up here. It's got a channel. It did give you a low on Thursday. It could have been because of the rebalance. It could have been because, again, different different funds had to rebalance their amount of shares they had of certain sectors and whatnot. So, like, you remember, we made a lot of money in XLE right here. Remember, I was on Cavuto on Friday. I'm like, guys, I was buying the $88 calls for $1.10, and we were selling them up to 2.5. So, was this just a broken bounce into a trend line, or does it hold middle ground here and break this downtrend for the XLE to start acting better? At this point, it's lower highs and lower lows. It was a great tactical trade, but sometimes that's all it is, and you have to let it prove more. So maybe if the XLE holds in here and takes this out, it can give you better action. So for now, we'll see which sectors could become in focus, but we're probably not going to really see that transpire until later this week or early next week. But for now, there was a decent trade there. That's it, guys. I got to jump. I got about 60 charts to do for the Alpha team, for Redler All Access. I appreciate you guys tuning in, but if you want to hang out all day, just go to t3live.com. There's even guys that sometimes make more money than I do in the Alpha team because they trade 100% of the time. They have great ideas. If you trade for a living, I would be testing the Alpha team, and I'd also be doing Redler All Access. And if you just tune in the morning, I appreciate you as well. I'll see you guys a little bit later.